Hey guys, welcome back to Starflag Media. Today's little video that we're gonna get to here is one that kind of flew under the radar a little while ago with a Kotaku interview, and it was with a former Xbox executive who honestly, you know, he's one of the biggest names in the last 20 years when it comes to being the head of video game companies or a division of video games. And that, of course, is Peter Moore. Peter Moore was recently interviewed by Kotaku's resident Trump derangement syndrome person, Ethan Gatch. And he had a lot to say about Xbox and if Microsoft would stop making hardware. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just take a look at this article here from Kotaku, and it's titled "Former Xbox Executive Says Microsoft Would Stop Making Hardware If It Could." And Peter Moore explains why the console war has fallen out of fashion. Now, for those of you who don't know, Peter Moore was the head of Sega of America at the time when they killed off the Sega Dreamcast. In fact, he was the one that first brought it to the company as far as a strategy. So personally, if you want to thank who got the ball rolling for the death of the Dreamcast, but probably saved Sega, it is Peter Moore. Honestly, I wish they would have just saw it to the end of that generation, even if they would have fell in a distant fourth place, because Dreamcast is my personal favorite console of all time, and I especially I have my conspiracy hat on about why Peter Moore did what he did, but that's for another story. Let's go ahead and take a look here at what the interview says. The Xbox that fans have known for decades is currently undergoing an unprecedented transformation as Microsoft sets its sights on a multi-platform approach to gaming, and its console sales continue to decline year after year. That's no surprise, guys. Nintendo and Sony have been eating Microsoft's lunch since after the original Xbox, where it snuck past Nintendo by I think a million or two units from the OG Xbox to the GameCube. But then after that, the Wii ate everybody's lunch, and Xbox has never won a console war ever, period. Veteran gaming executive Peter Moore, an Xbox vice president in the early aughts, recently suggested the company would get out of the hardware business entirely if it could get away with it. And from what we're seeing, Microsoft is inching their way towards that. And this is a quote here. "I still say if they had a choice, would they make hardware? No. Would they be delighted if they could make a multi-$100 billion entity deliver you content directly to your television to whatever monitor you choose to play on? You bet," Moore said in a recent interview with Danny Pena's YouTube podcast via VGC. In the classically Netflix model, if you will, you just select who's playing this. There's 5,000 people playing this. I'm going to jump in right now. No latency, no lag, you're in. And there doesn't need to be a box between you and your controller and your TV set. Moore also held leadership roles at Sega of America and Electronic Arts, was alluding to Microsoft's cloud gaming push and its Play Anywhere pitch. Instead of needing an Xbox Series X or S to play Indiana Jones or Halo, any PC or smartphone and a growing number of TVs can stream the content directly to people wherever they are. In that model, there's arguably no need for consoles, at least if you're happy for companies to control every facet of what you can play and how. It felt to some like the future of gaming for years now, held back only by the current limits of online infrastructure and cloud-based technology. The veteran executive also pointed out that with the Switch, Nintendo has proven just how much some players still love their gaming hardware, and Microsoft's existing Xbox install base, though much smaller than those of PlayStation and Switch, is nothing to sneeze at. Hence why the company continues to promise next-gen devices, including a possible handheld coming in the years ahead. But Moore, who spent the podcast waxing somewhat nostalgically about the early years of Xbox, also claimed that Microsoft's recent major purchase and mergers have fundamentally changed its thinking around games. The acquisition of Activision Blizzard changed things, I think. Not I think, I know. At Microsoft, so that this is not the old days of the console wars and punching each other and trying to steal customers and trying to get market share and building your attach rate, he said. This is bigger than that in economic sense. And he's absolutely right about that. So when he's looking at the broader market, he can see where Microsoft, having established its base for the last 20 plus years, they can really leave their footprint on every platform and make money on every platform. Whereas Sony and Nintendo, not so much Sony anymore, as we see they've become a third-party publisher in their own right, publishing coming up to 4 games on Nintendo. But especially Nintendo, we're building a first-party attach rate for their hardware. I've always said this. I think Sony's 5 years behind Xbox on their strategy when it comes to marketing and third-party software and all of that, and hardware. But Nintendo will be the last ones kicking and screaming into an all-universal, eco-friendly, universe. And who knows? Maybe they hang in there long enough where they're the only platform and everybody is streaming on it. We continue. Reporting by Bloomberg and others has suggested that absorbing the massive publisher of Candy Crush, World of Warcraft, and Call of Duty has brought more scrutiny to Microsoft's Xbox division and greater drive towards growth areas like other platforms, including PC. Moore also suggested that earlier console war days, which famously saw the executive tattooing game reveals on his arm at E3, were in part an attempt to win the time, money, and attention that would one day make gaming more mainstream. Now that it's arrived, the priorities, including Xboxes, are different. What Microsoft is doing is no longer, we're going to get as much content as possible on our singular platform and the PC, and we're going to fight for that, and we're going to pay for that, and we're going to give it to, and we're not going to give it to anybody else. Those days clearly are over, as you can see. Well, for those of you Xbox fanboys and Sony fanboys, all the fanboys out there that either, rejoice at hearing this news or are still in denial, if you're an Xbox, console war fanboy, are still in denial that Microsoft is slowly but surely giving away their hardware space. What do I mean by giving away their hardware space? As Mr. Peter Moore said, if they could stop making the hardware themselves, they would. Well, that brings me to another thing that nobody was really paying attention to. An Xbox branded PC gaming handheld leaks, and it looks exactly like the Asus ROG Ally 2. Now, months ago, we heard the rumor of Asus probably making their own version of an Xbox platform, alongside a Xbox, an official Xbox One made by Microsoft. But this lends to the credence that Microsoft is slowly probably going to be giving away their hardware division to partners. And this isn't just a rumor anymore. I've got the actual leaks right here in front of me, thanks to Kotaku. The leaks it looks exactly like the Asus ROG Ally 2. There's nothing very Xbox looking about Project Keenan, guys. A rumored Xbox gaming handheld has leaked thanks to the Federal Communications FCC. No, not the device being developed in-house that Microsoft Gaming Phil Spencer previously mentioned was still years away. I'm talking about Project Keenan, the spirit of an Xbox handheld trapped inside the shell of an Asus ROG Ally that's due out later this year. And that's exactly how it looks based on these new leaks. Photos of the device, which were taken by the FCC, surfaced online via video cards. One showed a white Asus gaming handheld that is presumably the Ally ROG 2, and the other showed a black version with a dedicated Xbox button. That is presumably the Xbox branded alternative. Rumors of the Xbox were previously reported by Windows Central and The Verge, as seen here on this channel, as being part of the Project Keenan, a new initiative within Microsoft to try to more seamlessly blend this Xbox user experience with Windows Gaming OS. What's notable about the apparent Asus ROG Ally 2 is that it handles are more like controller paddles than the first model, which has a much more angular and boxy grip, and it looks cool stylistically, but may have not been most ergonomic. The only real external difference between the two models appears to be the color and the Xbox icon insignia on the menu button. There doesn't seem to be any other flourishes in the body of the device to give it an Xbox vibe, and that's a bummer. Now, they're talking about just a hardware shell, but when you power this thing on, I guarantee it is not going to be an Asus ROG Ally. They're going to have some kind of an Xbox interface, perhaps the onboarding mother greeting from the Xbox Series, perhaps its menu running in the background. Who knows? And here are the two pictures, guys. Here on the top, we have the Asus ROG Ally 2, just the standard one, and then at the bottom we have this black dedicated Xbox version. Again, we got the ABXY setup here. Oh, sorry, the black one is the ROG, and then the top one here is the Xbox version, the white one. But they look identical when you look at them side by side. Man, there have been fingerprints all over that thing. It would have been amazing if we would have gotten a clear picture of what the the startup looks like, or what the main part of this looks like. Let's continue on. But the real draw of Project Keenan, if it works out, will be that going on the software level, prior reports, as well as some vague comments from Microsoft Vice President of Next Generation, Jason Ronald, suggest the device will offer an Xbox-level interface on top of the Windows OS running in the background to potentially make for a much more familiar, user-friendly experience outside of gaming. Think the Xbox dashboard versus an icon-based layout designed for mouse and keyboard. In that way, Project Keenan sounds like a logical attempt to reconcile the two halves of Microsoft gaming and form a bridge to an eventual PC gaming handheld that functions like a console in your hands, i.e. a Nintendo Switch that can still play all the newest games. And we'll see about that. If this thing has strong enough specs, perhaps we're going to be getting Steam level, graphics on it, which is fine. But this opens up a lot of questions, which I'll get to. We're here, right? We can still play all the newest games. Sony is reportedly chasing something similar with the rumored handheld fans hope might be able to play PS5 games. Valve's Steam Deck, while not a sales juggernaut, is clearly one of the catalysts behind this new hardware shift. And it's also had a major head start. Of course, all this will be a bit moot if the US, and here's Mr. Ethan Gatch's TDS showing, if Trump's trade war with China continues. Microsoft just raised the price of Xbox Series X by $100 because of tariffs. The same happening to the next fleet of Asus ROG Ally handhelds. Xbox brand or otherwise would instantly torpedo their prospects. The entire handheld gaming revolution could be cut short, at least in the US. We'll probably learn more about Microsoft Xbox ROG Ally 2 at its big Summer Games Fest adjacent showcase in June. So yeah, what do you guys think, man? With Peter Moore's comment, and the man knows how to exit the console strategy. If there's one thing he knows, is how to kill the console. Ask the people over at Sega and ask them how they did with the Dreamcast. Well, there it is, right in front of our eyes, man. Here it is once again. Let's see if we can't, see it bigger. Maybe open an image in new tab. There it is. Yeah. What do you guys think? We're looking at the Xbox handheld made by the people over at Asus. And again, it just looks like this top button right here has maybe the Xbox dedicated button. I don't see it. Oh, there it is at the bottom, maybe. Even though this has the colors, and this one, I guess they both say ROG. So maybe this is the one with the Xbox dedicated button. I don't know. You guys tell me what you guys are seeing here. But either way, these are the FCC leaked pictures, I should say, of the Asus ROG Ally 2 version of the Xbox handheld. I would love to hear what you guys think about Mr. Peter Moore's comments as well as this major leak. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me here on the channel, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.